Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
We are back. We got round two here with my guy. And thank you for coming out again.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny, man? In the first podcast, so my guy Ant missed us so much he wanted to do another one. That's why he's back. No, so how long have you been doing Nino's for?
I've been in the business since I'm 18 years old.
Right.
In my first restaurant. I'm 54 now. But this concept, about 12 years.
Right. 12 years ago. Yeah. So you've been in the game, the restaurant game. And so what was that gave you the itch to say, I want to open up my own restaurant? Because a restaurant business is not easy.
No.
It is not easy.
I mean, I've had, like I told you, I'm 54. I've been doing this since I'm 18. You said you like to hear some of the failures.
Yes.
Too. It's not an easy business. Everyone wants to own a restaurant, but it's a lot of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And people use the word passion very loosely.
Correct.
To me, you have to love what you're doing.
Totally.
You have to love what you're doing, and I got a big support with my family.
Right. Right.
Son Joey, Sophia, Paulie.
Right.
We were all involved in the business since we were.
So you have 3 kids?
3 kids.
Very nice. And so what was one of your biggest challenges that you had? With Breaking Barriers, obviously we were talking about before we started recording, a lot of times people with entrepreneurship look at the sexy components, like the things of you have a business or, you have a nice car, you're doing this, you're doing that. But what were some real challenges that you faced?
The biggest challenge is, we take a lot of pride in creating our own product.
Right.
Like making mozzarella sticks from scratch. Who makes mozzarella sticks from scratch? We take fresh mozzarella and we make a mozzarella stick.
And I love mozzarella sticks.
So it's to let the people know what you're doing.
Right.
So our biggest challenge in any business is to let your customers, let people know how different you are.
Right.
Because you have to be different to be successful, I believe.
Totally.
You can't just copy, there's too many Italian restaurants, too many pizzerias. So our niche to be different was, let's make the pasta homemade, let's make the arancini homemade, let's make everything from scratch. You know how easy
Which is not easy.
No.
Which is not easy.
But you know how easy it is to just buy these things?
Right.
Buy
Pre-made.
Pre-made meatball. And it's not that bad, but it's not the same as quality. And
Right.
people know the difference these days.
Right.
They're educated.
Right.
Customers know when you go into a place, it's different, They know the difference between homemade pasta, or they know the difference between a good tomato, San Marzano. It's not bitter. It's a beautiful flavor. They know
Right.
the difference between, stuff that's made from scratch than stuff that's pre-made.
I love how passionate you are about talking about these items. So food's a big deal for you.
Oh, it is. I think it's some of the new generation just eat to eat. I have to say that. I taught.
This is Robbie McDonald's right here.
Yeah. Hey, to each its own. To me, I take a lot of pride
Right.
in what we prepare,
And that's important. What I think most restaurants, especially knowing, having a lot of clients in this space, it's hard to find and see that much passion about making sure something's made with, in the actual restaurant, as opposed to just going the easy route and buying something. And you seem super passionate about that.
Yeah. It really is easy to go and get a pre-made meatball compared to taking fresh beef,
Right.
make some pecorino romano that we grate ourselves, seasoned breadcrumbs, cracking a fresh egg. I mean, does it take maybe a couple hours more to prepare? But the quality you taste.
Right.
And that's what I offer my customers, and that's why we've been successful. And you asked, what's the hard part of the business?
Yeah, what's the hardest?
Letting the customer know that.
Right.
Is letting them know that you are different, that you do take pride in making things from scratch.
Right.
Because not everyone does.
Do you have that on your menus?
Yeah, we do.
Everything's 100%.
But, it's really our staff that, there's your waitress, then there's me, and
Yep.
there's your cooks.
Right.
And who talks to your customers is your waitresses and your waiters.
Right.
So it's very important that they're educated, and I'm lucky that we have a beautiful staff. Our employees have been with us for 10 years, and that's very hard.
That's super rare in that
very
space.
Rare. Even our servers, we have servers that's been with me 6-7 years. And, there's a Sicilian saying, La pesce puzza dalla testa. That means the fish stinks from the head. So in other words, it really comes down to, if the boss, not to pat myself on the shoulder, but if the boss, is passionate and treats their
team,
customers,
yeah,
their staff really good, it's contagious. It
for sure
settles down,
For sure.
We have another motto in our store, to treat our customers like kings and queens, no matter what. Right,
I love that.
Wrong, they come first.
Right.
This is a little undercooked. Say we give them the pasta al dente because that's how we do. Oh, no problem. No questions, nothing. We don't want to pay. Nope, you don't have to pay for it. I went to a couple restaurants and I see the total opposite. Some.
Oh yeah.
What do you want? Like they don't understand. Without a customer, you're nobody.
Nothing.
You're nobody. And I hate to say new generation because I have some young kids of my own, but they believe, that it's the other way around.
Correct. That's the tough part. It is the tough part. I do hear that a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So you said something the first podcast we had. So you said something. You said something though that really hit me, hard, especially with somebody who's like, I'm a big believer in not believer, but I love scaling, right? Like I love growing and just not being like where we were yesterday as a company. And you said something where I was like, what's next, for Nino? Is he gonna open up more? And you're like, no.
Yeah.
And what you said, I want you to repeat it. So can you tell me why not?
I'm trying to remember what I said. I don't remember.
I could tell you if you want me to.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I think I said.
Okay.
I enjoy the quality of my life that I can spend with my kids, and I could put the right attention into my store now.
Yep, right.
I don't know if that's what I said.
That is what you said.
I had 6 stores 2 years ago. I sold a couple of months off, and a couple of my leases up, and just the quality of life. Just went to Italy for 2 weeks, and I'm here at my restaurant a lot more, and I can spend time with my kids Joey and Paulie and Sophia, which is my life.
Right.
And I just love what I love most about my business. I hate to say, besides seeing a customer happy, is what my kids get out of it.
Right.
What they've learned from a business point of view. Like my oldest son, he used to play his soccer ball at 6 years old in the back kitchen, and then he started waitering, and then he helped in the kitchen, and now he's working at Goldman Sachs making $400,000 a year. My other son is 20 years old. He started his own business at 17 years old. Being an entrepreneur, Joey, he has a Jersey Loud. So my daughter Sophia has a personality. 17, you'd think she's 21, just the way she could talk to you. Met her before.
Yep.
And I believe it's a beautiful thing to teach your kids work ethics.
Right.
And to me, that's my biggest satisfaction is what happened to my kids through the business. You could tell your kids and give them all the best advice, but to put them through, it's almost like a boot camp of life.
Right.
No, this is how you treat a customer. This is do it now.
Right.
It's not just talking. They're actually doing it. This is how you talk to your coworkers. This is how you treat them,
Right.
It's actually boot camp, you're actually there doing it.
Right.
It prepares them for life. And then I'm like, all right, you're on your own. Go do it.
One thing that I couldn't agree more with you, and one thing I'm a big believer in. I was a server for a pretty long time before I started adapting, and I'm such a big believer. I had my first child finally, so yeah, I'm very excited. He's a healthy boy, and so one of the things for me that I always said before, but now hearing you say this just reaffirms it for me, is when I have kids, I want every kid to run through a restaurant for a while. You learn so much in restaurants, how to operate money, how to multitask, how to deal with issues, you're doing customer service. Yeah. It's every aspect of life and after, school.
Yeah. All the kids do today, they're like this, you're on their phone.
Right.
It teaches you how to interact with a total stranger.
Right.
Being, helpful and listening and interacting, which a lot of the younger generation don't have that skill.
Right.
So I really believe, just like you said, every kid should be a server, a busboy, or try to get into the public.
For sure.
Some way or another, yeah.
Yeah.
The restaurant, some other type of sales.
For sure. Yeah. Brandon used to run Hula Hands, right? Back in the day. He pretty much, back in the day. But so now, having that said, what advice would you give anybody who's listening right now, that's a new parent, right? And balancing between, your business, and your family, right? What advice do you have for that? It seems like obviously you brought them in, they're kicking soccer balls in the back.
Yeah.
But
Look, I don't know if it's how I was raised as a Sicilian. I never do good enough. I'm always questioning if I'm a good enough father. It's just how I am. Can I have done better? I asked my daughter the other day, is there anything I could do more?
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is. Always questioning yourself. Always making sure, because at the end of the day, all the money you make in the world, everything, it all comes down to what you leave behind.
Correct.
And to me, it's my kids.
Yeah.
It's what they think of me. It's what I've taught them. It's my impression in this world. My kids, So if I can give any advice, is be present. Pay attention to their life and just be there. I mean, I know it sounds, corny, whatever, but that's what I do, but on a physical basis.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough that my kids, they didn't always want to work there.
Right.
And then I made it fun for them. I made it fun for them, and sometimes they still don't want to be there, but they actually have a good time. They're in my social media. I go to Nino's Coal-Fired Pizza on Instagram, and we do these fun videos, and we cook together.
I do enjoy those videos.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's real,
Right.
So yeah, well, I don't know. That's the best advice I can give. Be with them.
Right. To be present.
Of course, I don't think I do enough with them. But,
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just an entrepreneur mindset, right? It's like nothing's ever good enough.
Yeah.
Like you could have did it better.
I could have done better. Sure,
Right.
I could always do better.
Always could have did better.
Yeah.
I would say so. That hits home, and I don't think that is corny to me. Especially, I just had my first child, and it's crazy how your life really changes when you think about that other person, and you're responsible, and I think the presence is the biggest thing for me. Now, because you mentioned that you don't want to open up other locations and stuff like that. So what's the future for you, right? So you've been in the game for a while. So like what does the next 10 years look like for Ant?
I'm saying now I don't want to. When my kids are gone in school and they're done.
So that might change.
Yeah, that might change. I mean,
for the record, I mean for you personally, right? Yeah. So I'm saying like, do you see yourself like I'm going to go to Italy more, or I'm going to go do this? Like what is like the next steps look like for you?
I love Florida, so I would love to have some type of dual business, something in off season,
right,
that I can go to Florida.
Where in Florida?
I like Delray.
Delray's nice.
Yeah. My girlfriend likes the other side, the West Coast, but
like Naples?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Naples.
I love Naples.
Yeah, they're both beautiful, like Fifth Avenue, all those beautiful restaurants.
Love Fifth Avenue. Yep.
And that's what I see, something like that in the future.
So being like a snowbird kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of a snowbird, but I'd like to have a little business there.
Okay.
Not just go there.
Right.
I like to,
something going on.
I can't just sit by the beach all day. I need to keep doing something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so do you see, like, obviously, is there any interest, obviously, with your kids right now where, anybody's going to take over the business in the future or no?
It's a certain breed of people that can do a restaurant.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to, but it's first of all, you need the right staff.
Right.
And the way I believe you get the right staff is how you treat them.
Right.
And teach them and you invest in your staff.
Right.
I'll make breakfast. You see some of my videos. I'll make a pizza with eggs and bacon on it, and I'll make a breakfast for everyone. Mm-hmm. I have one of my staff. I said, listen, you live with me. You have a problem. Yeah, you come to my house. And I believe that. So if they want it, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. It's
right.
Good. It's a lucrative business. But I see them all making their own way. Like my daughter wants to be a lawyer. My oldest son is killing it.
In Saks,
Goldman
right.
Sachs. Joey's being his own little entrepreneur. He's in the second year of college. He already owns his own business. So I see.
What school do you go to?
OCC.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Local.
So he does local, and he's deciding where to go. Finishes 2 years, but I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
They're making their own direction, their own.
Right.
Their own
They're forging their own paths.
Yes.
So what advice would you give like an entrepreneur who wants to open up their own restaurant?
Okay.
That's listening in right now.
All right. First, be good at what you do. You got to really know what you're doing. There's too many. I'm going to use my field. There's too many restaurants out there.
Right.
Be different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's not use restaurants. You be any business, whatever business. Be different.
Right.
Treat the customer as they're the most important person in the world.
Right.
Because without that customer, you are nobody. People are getting away from that. I don't know why I believe that, but I see it from going out. I go out to eat 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yep.
You go in my refrigerator, there's a ketchup in there. You know what I mean? Yeah, so like that's what we do. We either eat at my restaurant or we go out to eat.
Right.
So, and I'm seeing that more and more. At the nicer restaurants,
Right.
you see that
Right.
customer, the bartenders, how they treat you. You see it. Then you go to some that you know why they're not doing well.
Right.
So my advice is
And you could just tell right away.
tell right away, just treat that customer like they're the most important person. Treat
Right.
your staff like you can't do it without them.
Right.
Be passionate about whatever you're selling. Give the best quality product that you can give them. Have fun doing it. If you're not enjoying it, I'm sure you hear that in every entrepreneur. You know, you have to find some way of enjoying what you're doing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that's it. I think those are the 3-4 major things in the business.
I think those are great key things. We're gonna try some Commodi. So if you want to come over here, we'll try some Commodi real quick. Little Commodi plug.
Commodi, what's that? So what is
So
Commodi?
essentially, it's a. What, you ever had a green tea shot?
Yeah.
All right. So it's the first ever bottled green and white tea shots. And
Vodka?
yeah, so this one, white tea is vodka,
Oh,
and then the green tea is whiskey. So
It's
almost
5
5.
o'clock somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
so we're close here.
Yeah.
We're close here.
It's my son Joey, everybody.
There we
Come
go.
over here, see if you get in the camera.
Andiamo.
Sure.
That's
Jersey
our
Loud.
Andiamo.
Okay. Hey, cheers
Salute.
to health, happiness, and success.
To a great interviewer.
Yeah, great podcast, and hopefully Rob doesn't botch this one.
Salute.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, Joe.
Pressure's on. Okay, so now the tough part. I don't know if you remember this part.
Go ahead, I don't remember.
Okay, good. So that means we'll get a nice visceral response again.
Yes.
So I got a hard question, and I got like a mild question. Which one do you want first? Hard first. I love it. I love it. And all the time I've been asking this question, right, for almost 2 years now, there's only been one person, entrepreneur, that asked for the easy one first.
Really?
So it's very character. It makes sense that you would ask for the hard one. Okay. So typically in life, you know, a lot of people base their legacy off of where they are today, right, and what they want to, you know, be remembered by, right? Because as much as we want to leave stuff, we can't take anything with us, right? So a lot of times people are thinking about that in that framework. So I like to kind of reverse engineer this process and think about it from the end to now, right? So knowing who you are today, knowing who you want to be, right?
Knowing who I am today.
Yep. Who Ann is right now today, and who you want to be remembered as in the future, whenever that is.
Right.
If you were today to write your gravestone, what would it say?
Ooh, that's kind of an easy one.
Oh,
Because I based my whole life on this.
yeah. I think this is what you said last time too.
You know, was a great father.
Yep.
You know, and loved his children more than himself.
Right.
That's
Bang.
it. You know, it's just that's what I want to leave behind. I want to leave behind. I get like emotional.
No, we've had multiple people get emotional. It's a real question, you know.
'Cause it's my why. You know.
Correct.
My kids are
You're everything.
the reason. You know, that pushes me forward is when I get knocked down is like, I don't want them to see me like this.
Right.
I want them to like, all right, I'm good. I can handle this. All right. This is how you handle
Right.
obstacles. I want
Right.
And then by myself, I might be like, all right, come on. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my kids. Man.
I love it.
It's all about them. Yeah.
That's very motivating.
It's a little selfish because I actually use them as my motivation. You know?
Right.
You know, so is this how they want to see me? You know, I use them for all my thoughts.
Yeah.
My mind is
Yeah.
how would they look at me if I did this? That's keeps me in line
I love that.
because I love life too much. I need someone to keep me in line. So my mind, my kids keep me in line.
I love that. I think that I don't think it's an interesting thing to think it as selfish. I don't see it as selfish, but
Because I use it as my own motive. Like I'll use that as an internal thought process. How would my kids like? I use.
it's fuel.
Yeah.
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 All right, so the easy one now, because now you made that too easy. This is probably gonna be really easy. Over the years, has there been any like just quotes, adages, you know, that you've picked up with it makes you think about tough times or getting through tough times that it stuck? It could be an original, right, or it could be something you heard from one of your parents, anybody, but something that makes you think about just getting through and breaking through tough times.
You know, there's two quotes. One is tattooed on my son's back. It says "Sempre avanti," means always moving forward. You know? And then andiamo, that's our quote in our restaurant. It's on everything, even on our signs. Andiamo means let's go. And, you know, I've been knocked down, I can't tell you how many times. But my love of life and my, what's the right word? My ability to leave it behind me I think is the most important thing to move ahead and to be successful. Leave that stuff behind. Sempre avanti, always moving forward. You know, we're gonna all have, you know, I think that's what defines real entrepreneurs.
Right.
Is how they handle all these obstacles.
Tough shit.
Yeah, and just like brush it off, all right? Or you can cry and crawl in a hole.
Right.
Do you have a choice? Either let's go, you get knocked down, or cry, you know, feel sorry for yourself.
Right.
You know?
Just sit there and don't learn from the situation.
Yeah, just move ahead.
Yeah.
And be okay with it. You know, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes.
For sure.
Just be proud of it, you know, learn from your mistakes. Sometimes it takes us a couple times.
Right.
Keep going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And the reason why I like to ask that question, so when I first started adapting social, you know, I was young. I was a 17-year-old kid. You know, my parents had financial issues, and I was just trying to figure out how I could help. You know, my dad essentially told me we're going to lose the house. So, you know, I dove right into, you know, how can I help, right? Like, and you know, being a busboy and other shit wasn't helping. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, because we're celebrating our 13th year in business this year. And
What a cool office.
Thank you. And what I think about, though, is I remember the first 2 months that I had this idea. I'm out door knocking, right? And I put myself in a position where, you know, for 2 months during February, right, during the winter months, I was door knocking, going door to door to door to door.
How old?
And I was 17. And I was door knocking, and literally nobody was giving me the time of day, right? I would walk into a restaurant like yours and be like, is the owner here? And the owner would be like, no, he's not here. And yeah, right. So I was just doing it, and it took me 2 months to get somebody to say yes.
To what? What were you asking?
To build a website.
So you wanted to build their website.
Correct.
So you were doing it by the old-fashioned.
I went old-fashioned.
Knocking on doors.
Yeah.
Wow, I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
You know, when you go back to that time, it was the very early days, like businesses weren't even on social media. I remember trying to convince people like to do a business Facebook page. Because then it wasn't like a thing.
You know what you remind me of? The owner of a big company took me out, one of my food distributors, and he owned like a, what is the name of the company? Roma Foods, but it was bigger than that. He was a billionaire, this guy. I don't even remember his name, but this is 10 years ago. And he sat down and he said, Anthony, there's something what you just said. Let me ask you something. I always ask my staff, but let me ask you a question. What can we do to improve our business to you, right? And I said, this is when I had 6 stores, right? I was a good client of theirs. I said, there's one thing. Everyone comes into my business and says, I'm going to lower my prices. I'm going to give you the best deals. I want one salesperson to come into my store and say, I'm going to make you more money. I'm going to show you I'm going to promote for you. I'm going to market for you.
Right.
Because you're my partners. I buy my food
from you.
Right. So I think digital marketing, and people don't understand how important it is, because it's how you market. It's how you make money. You
Totally.
have to get out there, you know.
Totally.
To help. I believe this is the new era.
Totally.
Instagram, social media, what you're doing is the number one way to market.
Yep.
And what you're doing, I commend you. You're going to be a rock star. You are a rock star. You're going to be. It's just a matter of time I see it. See how you interview and your staff here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, I love that question, like, you know, how can you help us make more money, whatever. A lot of times when we're working with the vendors, it's not that type of relationship, it's just transactional. Yeah. You know, so I love that question. Yeah. But anyway, back to your initial point though about entrepreneurship and how a restaurant is for a particular type of person. You know, I think that was the one thing which you said also about moving forward, is that when it took me 2 months for somebody to say yes, you know, when I first started, I had a bunch of people that were like my friends that I brought into the idea with me, right? And everybody wound up dropping like flies because they're like, we're doing this for 2 weeks and nobody's saying yes, bro. Stop doing this. Like, what are you doing? You know? So I think I agree with you. And that quote on the wall back there, my chief operating officer, that blue thing back there, yeah. That was the one. So when I was 17, I printed out, I went on Google and I was looking for things to motivate me. And I put that in my at the time at my parents' house. I put it like next to my bed, and I had it like, you know, just in front of me, so that like when I'm like going out there and getting rejected, that I know like I have to fucking suffer before any sort of success is gonna happen, you know. And that was the one thing I always kind of kept it. So I'm like, if I'm going through a tough time, then I'm on the right track. You know, and you hear all these different stories. I don't know if you've ever, anybody out there who hasn't read it, but there's a really good book from the 1930s called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's like one of the first personal development books of all time. And, you know, a lot of big people like Tony Robbins kind of duplicated what he wrote. But there's a part in there that talks about 2 feet from gold. And how, you know, there's this guy who essentially, you know, found the biggest gold mine, you know, struck gold, insane amounts, right? Made a lot of money back in the early 1900s, and you know, long story short, he thought, you know, everything was done. He thought he tapped it. Like he kept digging, nothing, right? So he wound up selling the shovels, the picks, everything to a local guy just to make a couple extra bucks. He's like, it's gone, but you know, you can have it here, right? So the whole story is that when you think, you know, you're on tough paths, right, and you're not meeting the goal, this guy started digging, went 2 feet. And it was way bigger gold than before the guy.
That's a good story.
Right?
Yeah.
And I love that story because a lot of times with success, you know, success and failure are neighbors. You know, they're next door to each other.
Yes.
And it's a lot of times, you know, it's things like this. That's why I like to ask that quote, because it's keeping that mindset.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, and I think what you're saying about this generation, which I agree with, you know, it's when things get tough, it's easy just to walk away, right? And say, shit, like you said about crying and shit like that. I think that a lot of generations have been like that, but I think because of online, it's easy for people to see people being super ultra successful. But that's why with Breaking Barriers, we want to talk about the real shit, right? Like a lot of times you have people online that look like they're awesome, but they're renting cars or doing this or doing that. They're not actually having it, and it's not the reality, you know. And what did they do to get to that point, you know?
That reminds me of something we want to be real is love all your feelings. So what does that mean? That means, you know, you're hurting, like embrace it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're sad, embrace, like don't be like, why am I feel like I used to get like goosebumps sometimes, you know, of a bad feeling, and be like okay with it, you know, because that's what motivated me to do something or to get out of it. And I legit mean love your feelings.
Right.
People don't grasp that.
I
You know what I mean?
honestly
Like,
really resonate with that.
negative stuff too, like, ooh, what does that do? It's nothing bad
Right.
about you as a character to love every feeling you have.
Right.
It defines us.
1,000%. I had so me and my wife went to Paris for a trip with some of our friends, and we were in an Uber, and I got the Uber as a client for Adapting Social, right? Because I'm always selling, right? So I was out there, I'm talking to this guy, he starts talking about a business he's trying to do while he's Ubering us, and then I'm like, boom, we got you, right? And so, long story short, I remember like I was talking to him a couple times after I met him in person and stuff, and he comes to me, he's like, why are you, like, it's almost like when you're in different countries, in America, it's so standard to think that you're supposed to always be happy, and things are supposed to always be easy. And it's like, I'll never forget this guy said this to me, and I'm like typically high energy, over the top, and he's like, why are you so fucking loud? Like, he's like, why are you smiling? He's like, was coming at me, like, why are you so happy? Like, why are you smiling? And I'm like, why? Like, whatever. And he's like, well, you're not supposed to always be happy. And I remember he said that to me, and it really resonated, because in most countries around the world, like, they find Americans very annoying because we're always trying to be happy. Yeah. And love all your feelings makes a lot of sense to me, because life is not always, there's beauty in pain.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I believe that.
Yeah, there's beauty in pain, and I feel like that's a big part of, like, earlier in at least my upbringing and stuff. What has helped me get, you know, through the shit that I've gone through is that, you know, when I had challenges growing up, like I used to have challenges with my father, and I used to look up and be like, you know, damn, like, why the fuck am I in this position? Like, why do I got to deal with this guy? Like, why this guy had to be my dad, right? And then, right, looking back in retrospect, if he wasn't who he was and didn't have any fuck ups, I wouldn't be me. Yeah. So I'm like, thank you, Dad.
They only
like,
knew what they knew.
Correct.
They knew what they knew.
Correct.
They treated us like they're
the best they can.
Perfect. Yeah. I grew up as a mixed kid. My father built oil refineries.
Yeah.
Worked for a company. He didn't own the company.
Right.
He built oil refineries around the world. So I lived 2 years in Ireland, 2 years in Africa, 2 years in Saudi Arabia,
Wow.
2 years in Egypt.
So you popped around.
I grew up as all mixed up.
Wow.
You know, I come back to, you know, United States and being more fist fights as a teenager, trying to adjust. And I was mad with my parents when I was a kid.
For sure.
Put me through that but as I grew older, I realized, wow, they actually...
An opportunity.
Now I can adapt to anything. Put me in an environment, put me in front of someone I never met, and I feel comfortable.
For sure.
And I believe that has to do with my upbringing and always moving around and having to adjust and adapt.
All pun intended. But that's beautiful, man. So I love that. I love that quote. I love the move forward. And I'm grateful for you doing this again.
Yeah. This is it. You got the recording down right?
Rob, this is Baj. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you so much. Again, on Breaking Barriers, we believe time is the one asset we do not get back.
Yes.
I'm extremely inspired by who you are as a father and how passionate you are about your kids and what you do in your restaurant and how passionate you are about the food that you're making. Again, if any entrepreneur that's out there or people that are out there that want to get better at what they're doing, I think the passion that you have, especially for people who are wanting to be parents, or it's contagious, man. And I think that people that are listening in that heard this message today, there's a lot of good takeaways. So thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Andiamo. Let's go.
Nino's Coal-Fired.
Yes, Nino's Coal. Oh yeah, plug yourself. Sorry, plug yourself. We're gonna find you.
Brick Boulevard, Nino's Coal-Fired Pizza, all handmade, fresh products. Yeah, we love our customers.
Yeah. Come see them. Where can they find you? Where's Instagram, the
We have
website, everything?
Instagram, if you want to see some nice videos, food being created, and we're fun. My kids are involved. My phone number is 732-255-7700. And it's just a beautiful family atmosphere. We got an Italian guy that sings there. He's a pizza maker, and he actually sings while he's making a pizza.
Really?
Yeah, it's fun.
So I have a question though. So if somebody's to go there, right? And I don't want to ask you, I don't know if you guys both have the same answer to this. I'm going to ask you first, actually. What is your favorite thing on the menu? If you're like, you got to get this.
I'm going to go with the veal chop Parmesan.
Okay, so he said veal chop Parmesan there. People, you heard it first. What is your favorite?
The lasagna. It's my mother's lasagna. We make it with homemade pasta sheets. We make the pasta there, and then we layer it with a bolognese and then a bechamel sauce, which is like a lighter cream, and then we layer fresh mozzarella on it. It's ridiculous. Like, you take a bite of it, and people are like, look, I want to say one last thing. I'm sorry.
Hit it with it, Ant.
I'd rather spend $2-3 more.
Yes.
And eat quality.
Right.
Because I am a little more expensive than your average Joe pizzeria.
Right.
I'm a little cheaper than your 5-star restaurant. I'm in between.
Right.
Because of the quality food. I'd rather, and I believe people are like that right now.
For sure.
Saying that I'm a couple dollars more, we also did something beautiful to all of our customers. We're doing half price lunch. So, in other words, all right, so we're a little more expensive, but if you come at lunchtime, you could still afford, to have a beautiful meal. So it's my way of giving back,
I love that.
And I believe spend a couple dollars more and get quality food.
If it's homemade, I mean, come on, you can't beat that.
Come on.
But now, are you still, so at lunchtime, you're able to get the veal chop at lunch?
Yeah, you could get whatever you want. Look, we barely make any money at lunch. But it's my way of giving back. You have to give back. You can't just take. It's my way of giving back. We're not losing money, but we're barely making any money.
Right.
And it worked. I mean, it's beautiful. The same customers that come for lunch, they're booking parties for dinner, and it just comes back to you.
I love it.
And I like doing that. Yeah.
What about dessert?
Dessert. Oh my! We won.
I'm a tiramisu fanatic.
Quick story.
I fucking love tiramisu.
Okay. Quick story. We were was it 98.5 or something? We were on
radio station
marketing with them, right?
Yeah.
This is 6 years ago, and he said, Anthony, there's a dessert wars coming up. It's in Monmouth County. I was like, nah, we're more of Italian restaurants. She said, no, do it. Come on, what's the big deal? It's free. You go enter. I said, your tiramisu is ridiculous.
Oh, that's it. We're going. Rob, we're out.
All right. I said, let's go. So we enter this thing. It's in Monmouth County. It's some beautiful catering hall. I don't know if it was a Shadowbrook or where it was.
Okay.
It was beautiful, right? We walk in, we had these I'm Hot shirts, Nino's Coal-Fired, right? We walk in with, all my waitresses, and we had like 20 trays and these just, regular metal to-go trays. We walked in and we're like, we stopped. We had the best bake. We were the only Italian restaurant. Everybody else was bakeries.
Okay.
Fountains of chocolate coming out and crystals. They brought their own chandeliers and their chef jackets with their names on it. We're like, my staff was like, hey, we don't belong here. He was like, you know what? We're here. Let's make the best out of it. We just put a Andiamo. We made so many enemies in the bakery business because we won first place in every category.
Wow.
Yeah, we we still brag about it, you know. We beat
As you should.
35 bakeries. We were the only restaurant. That's how good my mother's tiramisu is. All right, you got to try it.
I'm definitely going to come in without a question for tiramisu. So my cousin and my brother actually just went to Italy. So actually the Christian.
Nice.
And when you guys learned how to make the tiramisu, right? So they learned how to make tiramisu. Now when I take tiramisu, so I love tiramisu. I love it when it's fucking drenched
Yes.
in the liqueur or whatever the hell that is.
You want me to tell you how we make it?
How do you make it? Tell
I'm
me.
going to tell you step by step.
Tell me. I'm drooling here, Ant. I'm drooling.
You have your lady fingers.
Yeah.
We'll start with the cream. You take your egg whites. You whip them.
Which, by the way, I had no idea that was in there.
Yeah. You got
Until
egg whites.
Angelica, my brother, told me that. I had no idea.
Take your egg whites. You put in one bowl here. You foam them up. You know.
Yep.
You beat them. Then you take your fresh cream. Foam it up. Becomes fresh cream. Then you take your mascarpone. So you got 3 of those beautiful creams.
Right.
You fold them together.
Okay.
You add a little vanilla, a little powdered sugar. We put a little cognac in ours.
Okay. Oh.
So now you fold that all together. That's
Right.
the cream.
Okay.
You take your lady fingers, you dip them in an espresso. You make
Right.
espresso, you dip them in, you layer it, one layer at a time. Espresso, then the cream. Espresso, then the cream. Espresso, a little powdered sugar on top. We put a little chocolate chips. Ridiculous. Is that how you made it?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, right?
No, his was trash. I just kidding.
I mean, that's the traditional
That's
way.
how you do it.
Now,
Right.
it takes time. 90%, I'll say this to the camera.
Look at the camera.
95% of restaurants don't make it because it's time consuming. You can buy a decent tiramisu. They will never taste like that when it's homemade.
Right.
And that's what we do. We sell trays and trays of tiramisu a week. It's
Wow.
just that good.
I might be a regular for the dessert
ridiculous.
and for the lasagna because I like lasagna. With your bolagnese, do you use beef or like a mixture of
We
beef?
use a mixture of veal, beef, and pork.
Veal, beef, pork.
Carrot, celery, and onions.
Wow.
Cook it down.
I'm fucking starving.
A real bolognese doesn't have a lot of tomatoes.
Correct, right.
It's just it's more meaty, a little bit of tomato.
Yeah.
We make a beautiful bolognese.
Wow. So I'm motivated to come in and get some tiramisu,
Oh yeah.
a little bit of the veal. But again, thank you so much, Ant. I really appreciate your
Thank
time,
you,
man.
thank you,
Thank you.
Keep doing
Everybody,
what you're doing.
thank you. Everybody, go give them a follow on social. Take a look at them and go stop in.
Thank you very much.